As a game developer making videos on YouTube, I constantly get comments like, what if you made insert random game idea? And normally I ignore these because they're not great. But today I'm going to make an exception because today I'm going to attempt to actually make these very stupid ideas. Honestly, these are probably going to be the worst games I'm ever going to make, but you quite literally asked for this. So let's see what crazy idea we're going to be making first. Make a grass dating simulator. Okay, I don't know what I expected, but this is somehow worse. But I said I was going to make it, so here we go. Now, even though it is a very, very silly idea, I do have to take it completely seriously. So I'm actually going to try to make some good looking grass. Especially, of course, because we're going to be dating this grass, so I can't have it looking terrible. Okay, so I'm not saying I would date this grass, but if there was grass that I would have to date, I mean, this wouldn't be the worst option ever. We do still need to add some shading, because otherwise it'll look a little flat. But yeah, I think this looks really good. However, if we just put this into the game as is, I feel like that would be a bit boring. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a watering can. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out what we're going to be doing with this, especially if I go ahead and make a blue particle effect. But just being able to water the grass isn't going to be enough, because the grass, even if we water it, still doesn't do anything. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a couple growing stages for the grass, basically showing it slowly growing up to full size. And if we go ahead and put those growing stages in the game and write some very simple code, we can now make the watering can actually grow the grass, and suddenly we're getting somewhere. But of course, still, once the grass is fully grown, well, that's kind of it, isn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and also make a lawn mower. And I actually think it turned out great. I genuinely love the way this thing looks. But when I put it into the game, it just looks really out of place and weird. And that was because I hadn't made an animation for it. Because obviously the type of lawnmower that I made is constantly like shaking. So I tried to kind of emulate that with this animation. Like, it's nothing special, but just adding that little bit of movement completely transforms the way the lawnmower looks. And now it looks absolutely amazing. And so all we have to do now is just make a very simple sprite mask that hides all the grass that the lawnmower has already gone over, while also spawning a new set of grass that is in the first growing stages. And this creates a very convincing look of the grass getting cut. But to make it even better, we can even repurpose the blue particle effect I made for the water and use it for grass particles instead. And now it really looks like it's cutting the grass, which is awesome, because now when we cut the grass, we can grow it again with our watering can, and then when it's fully grown, we can cut it again. And so right now we actually have some sort of a game. But something that's actually really bothering me is how the environment looks, specifically the dirt. So I went ahead and made some more detailed looking dirt. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't actually know what I'm doing here. I'm basically just adding random shapes and like some little rocks, I guess. But overall, like, we don't need something that looks extremely detailed. We just need something that doesn't look like a single flat color. And I think this does that perfectly. It's not too detailed, but it's also not too boring. And so if we put that into the game, it's looking much, much better. But something that's still looking a bit flat and boring is the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw a bunch of different clouds. Like, I'll be honest, I don't actually know what I'm doing drawing these, but I feel like clouds don't need to be complicated. They're just white blobs, right? Although I do want to make a couple of heart-shaped clouds, because, you know, it's a dating simulator after all. We do have to have some references to that in the environment. Okay, I'm going to be honest, I don't love it. In fact, I actually kind of hate it. I don't think it looks good at all, because like, this doesn't look like clouds. Okay, that's actually a bit of a problem, because I don't know how else to add detail to the sky if not clouds like these. Okay, I'm gonna try something stupid, which is just to make the clouds like much, much bigger. Like, I don't think this is actually gonna work, but I just gotta try. Okay, wait, did that work? No, wait, that looks so good though. Genuinely, I think this looks amazing. It adds so much atmosphere. Like, I genuinely don't know why that made such a big difference, but like, it's night and day. Okay, yeah, I mean, we're going with this for sure. Like, this looks great. I mean, it does mean we have to get rid of the heart-shaped clouds because they don't fit in. But like, I'll gladly sacrifice those to have this amazing atmosphere. Okay, but we gotta move on. Like, clouds look great, amazing, but there is still quite a glaring issue in the sky, which is that we just have a watering can sitting there. So let's go ahead and give it a button. Right, I mean, I'm not going to overthink this. It's going to be a very simple design. Right, there you go. That is a button for a watering can, nothing else. Now we also need to go ahead and make a button for the lawnmower, because currently, to be honest, I'm just pressing E on my keyboard to make it appear. So we desperately need a button for it. And I mean, yeah, that looks great. It's very simple, but it works. Now all we have to do is just put these into the game, make them actually function, and there we go. We now have a pretty decent looking game. Except we've accidentally made a grass growing simulator, not a grass dating simulator. So it's about time we go ahead and add some romance. And what is more romantic than a kiss? Okay, so I've been trying to draw a kiss for like the last 30 minutes at this point, and I'm genuinely starting to think that I might not be able to do it. Like, I even got so desperate at one point that I just wrote the word kiss, but that looked so bad that I had to go back to trying to draw the lips. So there's genuinely a chance that you won't hear me say this because I'm going to cut this entire thing out of the video because I can't do it. Okay, so it's been another like 10-20 minutes, and I think I've got something. Like, it's not perfect by any means, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think it looks good, but I think it looks good enough. And that works for me. I mean, I'm making a grass dating simulator here. I don't need hyper-realistic lips. So yeah, let's go ahead and put this into the game. Okay, so we now have a kiss button, but if we try and click it, it doesn't do anything. So I went ahead and made a very simple camera animation of the camera like moving towards the grass, and then when it's closest to the grass, we spawn a little kiss. So now we're able to kiss the grass, which is not a sentence I ever thought I'd say, but here we are. Now, obviously the game is already perfect now because we've got grass kissing, but let's go ahead and make it even more perfect by allowing you to actually talk to the grass. You know, build up a little bit of a connection before you just go around kissing them. Now, obviously for this, we have to start by making another button, with this time it being a very simple chat icon, which was actually really easy to make. I also made a template for actual chat messages, and now if we add this to the game and hit play, we can go ahead and talk to our grass for the very first time. Now, it doesn't say anything back because, well, it's grass. It doesn't speak. You can hit the button again, of course, but you still won't get a response because, again, it's grass. It doesn't have a mouth, it doesn't have a brain, it's grass. It's just grass. Of course, you can keep hitting the button, but it doesn't change. I'm afraid it's a very one-sided relationship. Like, I don't know what you're expecting, but I'll say it again. It's just grass. You can water it, sure. Cut it, absolutely. Kiss it, sure, you weirdo. But have an actual complex two-sided relationship with it? Of course not. It's just grass. So there you have it. It's a grass dating simulator, and a very realistic one at that. Because what were you expecting? That the grass was going to have a lovely date with you? Of course not. Again, I will say this for the very last time. It's grass. And with that, yeah, I think we've finished this game, which means it's time to move on to the next game idea. But before we actually get to that, this video is sponsored by Milanote. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Milanote is a tool to help organize your creative projects, basically acting as an online canvas for you to lay out your ideas onto. And personally, I found it to be incredibly helpful, and it's not hard to see why. When I first started making games, I would organize my thoughts like this, which not only did not feel very organized, it was overwhelming and uninspiring to look at. But now it looks like this, which both makes it much easier to get an understanding of what exactly I'm working on, while also giving me a central place for brainstorming and visually laying out ideas. Because sometimes words aren't enough, and you need to actually look at something to understand it. And that is where Milanote shines, giving you that overview that can so easily get lost. I even made a board for the grass dating simulator we just made. I mean, it's not as extensive because it was a really small game, but it was still very useful, allowing me to very easily keep track of everything I'd done so far and everything I still need to do, giving me a good place to collect reference images which help me draw the various sprites in the game. And originally I even planned to have multiple characters that I actually worked on for quite a bit, before eventually scrapping that idea and going with the grass doesn't talk route. And even this very idea I'd written down in my brainstorming board, where I just tested out a bunch of different ideas. Basically, I've been using Milanote for a really long time, and I think it's absolutely amazing. But even so, I still haven't told you the best part. It's completely free. You can literally start using it this very second without spending a single dime. So there's literally no reason not to, at the very least, try it. Even if you have no idea how to approach making your own boards or laying out your ideas, Milanote has a ton of game dev specific templates so you can get started right away. They also have amazing collaboration features, allowing you to have multiple people work on a single board at the same time, making things like brainstorming much easier. And all you have to do is click a single button and just send them a link. So if you're ready to try it, go to milanote.com/Deynum1225 or click the link in the description to sign up for a free account and start using Milanote today. Thank you so much to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. Alright, let's see what the next game idea is going to be. Make rock, paper, scissors, but you can't win. Okay, I mean, that seems really boring to me, but I mean, I don't have much of a choice, so let's do it. Okay, so we're going to start by getting an image of a rock, some paper, and of course scissors. Then we're just going to go ahead and import that into the game, make 3 buttons so you can choose which one you're going to play, write a very simple script that just makes the game choose the opposite of what you chose, and there we go, we've made rock, paper, scissors, but you can't win. So you can just choose whatever option you want, and you will never be able to win, because the game will always choose the winning option. And although technically we're done now, there are a couple more things that I want to do. So I started by giving the AI the ability to talk, which, I mean, currently it only says one thing, but what if it tried to psychologically manipulate you into choosing the wrong option of your own accord? So basically, beforehand, the AI would pick a certain option, right? Rock, paper, or scissors. Then it would try to manipulate you into choosing the wrong option, and then you would go ahead and actually lose. So it wouldn't just be the game cheating, it would be the game genuinely winning from you, which is just like miles more interesting than the game just always winning from you because it just knows which one to choose. Now it actually wins with skill almost. But of course, currently you can't really tell the difference because it just says you lose every single time. So whether or not the game cheated to win or genuinely won from you, there is currently no difference. So to change that, I went ahead and made 2 different losing screens. One with you lose, which is when the game cheats to win, and one with you genuinely lose, which is when the game successfully manipulated you into choosing the wrong option. And let's also go ahead and add a counter, one for your regular losses and one for your genuine losses, so you can keep track of how often this game is genuinely winning from you. And to make it even more interesting, if you choose one thing too often, like for example if you just keep spamming paper, at some point it'll play flamethrower instead, which just fully destroys your piece of paper. Like genuinely, when you get back, there is no more paper option. Your paper is just gone for that round, which I just think is funny. Now, you might actually be wondering why I didn't make any art for this game, why everything is a generic PNG from Google, and why I didn't even change the default background color of Unity. And that's very simply because the game doesn't deserve it. Because if you were wondering if we were going to add more stuff, no, this is it. Like, this is the entire game. You're looking at it right now, and I could spend 1,000 hours on art for this game. It would not improve it even a single bit. So there you go, that is exactly what you asked for. Rock, paper, scissors, but you can't win. Yeah, I did add a little bit more stuff, but at the end of the day, there isn't much you can do with an idea like that. Which means it's time to move on to the next game idea, which is going to be a long one, geez. Make a Storage Wars parody, but with raccoons bidding on trash. Okay, wait, that actually sounds like a pretty interesting idea. Like, I don't know if it's actually gonna be good, but it might be. I mean, I guess there's only really one way to find out. Okay, so obviously the first thing you have to do is draw some raccoons. Now, something I found that's actually quite interesting is that there's a great deal of difference between cartoon style raccoons and actual raccoons. For example, that white stripe across the belly, a typical raccoon thing, they don't actually have. Like, it just is not a thing. So when I was drawing this, like, I tried to kind of combine both, taking both inspiration from the cartoon styles, which is like the really recognizable ones, and the actual animal. And what I ended up with was this, which I'm actually really pleased with. I think it looks absolutely incredible, and it's like unmistakably a raccoon. Okay, so the body is proving to be a bit more difficult because this looks awful. Okay, this also looks really bad. Yeah, nope. Okay, I'm struggling here. Definitely not. Okay, so it seems like I'm just completely incapable of making a raccoon body. So let me just try something completely different. All right, so I don't hate that, but it does look very bad still. But I think we're moving in the right direction. So let me try something else. All right, I'm not saying it looks good, but compared to everything else, this is the first one where I'm not thinking this looks horrific. So that's a good thing. It still looks a bit uncanny. I don't quite like the way the head looks with the body, but like I've been trying to draw a body of a raccoon for an hour and a half, so I'm just going to accept this one. Even though it's not perfect, it'll be good enough for a game like this. Now obviously I could just add this to the game and just like copy it a bunch of times to create the different raccoons, but obviously this would be kind of boring. So I'm going to try to make an alternative version of the raccoon with just some slight adjustments. Like I'm just going to change the eyes a little bit, maybe change the body just slightly. Like I don't want it to look like really different, I just want it to not feel as repetitive. Okay, so I'll be honest, I genuinely cannot tell the difference between these two. I mean, I know there are differences, like when you look at the head, for example, there's like a little bit of difference in the side of the head, the eyes are a little different, the arms are a little different, but just from like a distance, I could not tell you that these are two different things, which I guess is a good thing. I guess that's kind of what I was going for. So like your subconscious will see that these are not the exact same, but you won't think, oh, these are like drastically different raccoons. Now, we also need to go ahead and make alternative versions of both of these bodies, because obviously these raccoons are going to be bidding on things, and what do you do when you bid on something? You raise your hand. And there we go, we've now got two versions of both of the raccoons, one with their hand down, one with their hand raised, and that should be enough to be able to make the game. And here's like the very first basic version of what that game would look like. So if we click on a raccoon, they will bid $5. We will know that this is the raccoon with the highest bid currently, and if we click on this one, it switches to that, right? It's just raccoons bidding, and that's basically the entire game, except of course all of the raccoons except for one will be controlled by the game itself, or like the AI, and we will just be controlling a single raccoon that will try to win this bidding contest. But of course right now, obviously, we are both not bidding on anything, and we are controlling every single one of the raccoons, so let's go ahead and make something to bid for, and make sure the other raccoons actually bid of their own accord. Now, the things the raccoons are going to be bidding on is obviously going to be garbage, so we need to start by making some sort of garbage container. And I decided to go with the classic trash can, you know, the metal one, the one that we all know from cartoons and stuff. I also went ahead and put some nondescript garbage in there. Like, this is not like any specific thing, because obviously when you're going to be bidding on it, you can't be seeing what's actually in there, so I just tried to kind of give it the appearance of being full without actually showing anything. Like, none of this is actually real stuff. Yeah, it looks full, but you don't know what's actually in there, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. But if we just put this into the game, we might as well just put nothing there, because it doesn't give us any extra information. What we need to do is to be able to look into the trash can. Now, sadly, the recording of me drawing this got corrupted, so we're going to jump straight to the end result, which is this. Basically just a bigger version of the original trash can and more like zoomed in. And the idea is basically that at the start of like every round, for about 5-ish seconds, you'll be able to see some of the things that are in there, like just various bits of garbage and whatever. And after those like 5 or maybe 10 seconds, this will go away, and I'll just have this thing as kind of like a placeholder, and then we start the bidding process. And so it's both a game of being able to see what's in there quick enough and being able to remember what every bit of it is worth, and then you have to kind of go with your memory to bid on it, which is basically just how actual Storage Wars works as well. But obviously that means we're going to have to draw a lot of different kinds of trash, so let me go ahead and do that. Now obviously the things that raccoons want to find in these trash cans is food. So we're just going to start by making a bunch of different kinds of garbage foods. And here's what I ended up making. You know, it's pretty classical stuff, you know, fish, banana, a milk carton, a full cabbage for some reason, cheese, you know, I think this is chicken, an apple, bread. You know, it's very, very simple stuff. I just wanted it to be like immediately recognizable. It's all very cartoony. But yeah, these are going to be the things that the raccoons really want to get. So these are going to be like very, very valuable. This is what you're going to be looking for. But yeah, let's go ahead and put these into the game and make the game actually function. Alright, so I've gone ahead and made prefabs of every single piece of garbage, and what we now have to do is just scatter these around randomly inside of the trash can. Alright, so I just went ahead and wrote a very simple script, and now if we go ahead and hit play, we can now generate random trash cans with random pieces of garbage around everywhere. And I actually think this looks quite good. Like obviously sometimes it's going to be better than others, but I actually really like the way this looks. But obviously this isn't a game yet, so let's go ahead and make it actually playable. Okay, so it's been hours since I've recorded that, and I've actually made a ton of progress. Now, ignore the creepy raccoons staring at you. I will admit it doesn't look great, but let's go ahead and start a game. As you can see, you get a couple seconds looking at the inside of the garbage can, and then the voting starts. And I'm not doing anything right now. They're just going on their own. And we can also bid if we want to. You can see that we have a bit of a different marker. And yeah, they're just going at it. But as you can see, like it's all working. It's all going on its own. Like everything is fully functional right now. All right. And did we win it? I think we did. There we go. I think we did win it. So now we get... okay, wait. That's a bug. Okay, I kind of want to showcase how this works, but... this is not how it's supposed to work. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I fixed the bug, so we should see the correct display screen now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so the item was supposed to go smoothly towards the middle and then showcase how much it was worth. And now we can click, and then it's the next item. And we can just kind of keep going like this. And you can also skip through it, so you don't have to see the full animation every single time, which is actually really nice. Like, we can just do this. And you can see that this number goes up every time that we do. And basically, this number is the actual value of what was in here, and the other number is what was bid for it. So you can very easily see if you've made a profit or you've made a loss. And then when the last item goes, there we go, you can see the white number went to the winner, which basically means they received that amount of money, which is just a nice visual thing to showcase. And now if you want to, we can start a new round and it all starts over again. And that is the basic, actually, wait. Oh shoot, I've made a mistake. Okay, yeah, I know exactly what I did wrong here. There was a variable that I should have made false at some point, and I didn't do that. Also, the white number is missing here. Okay, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I still need to fix. It clearly isn't perfect yet, but the basic gameplay loop is generally working. Now let me go ahead and fix these bugs, and I'll get back to you on what we're going to do next. Okay, so the bugs are officially fixed, and that wasn't too big of a deal. I've also added a big old start button, because previously I was just pressing E on my keyboard. I've also added the actual like money that you have as the player, as opposed to just the bidding amount. So now when we click start and we go and play the game, and you know, we bid for things and just go about our regular business, and, you know, win the auction, you can see that we actually lose the money that we bid on the auction. And now if we go through all of these items, see what they are worth, and at the end you can see that we actually receive the money, at which point the start button reappears and we can start the process all over again. So yeah, that's the basic gameplay loop done. Now it's time to start adding a bunch of stuff. Okay, so currently every single piece of garbage that we have is food, but obviously not everything in a trash can is food, so I went ahead and made a bunch of other stuff, mostly clothing to be fair. But also just like some plastic bags, like these are some jeans, a couple t-shirts, a hat, a couple plastic bags, and some cans. Like, it's very simple stuff. I didn't go all out, but it's just to add some variation, so not everything is going to be as valuable as the food, obviously. So like basically all of this is going to be literally valueless to the raccoons, but to make it a bit more interesting, I did think of something very funny, which is to allow them to wear these things. So I went ahead and made a bunch of clothes. So this is the green t-shirt, right? Now, of course, they're not going to wear it as a t-shirt because they don't know what a t-shirt is, so they're not going to wear it correctly. Same with the jeans. Which they'll also wear on their head, because of course they're not going to wear it as jeans, they're raccoons, right? This is another t-shirt which they wear like across their body with like one leg inside of one of the armholes and the other armhole is where their head pokes out. Like it's very clear that they're not wearing these things correctly. Same goes for the hat, which they wear on their nose for whatever reason. I just think this is all really funny. Like, this is one of the plastic bags which they just wear as like a full body suit, and of course they wear the cans just on their head, which I actually think looks kind of good. Like, this actually feels like a pretty good outfit for a raccoon. But yeah, so that adds a bit of value to these items for the player themselves, and so when they see one of these items they might actually just overbid. So yeah, let's go ahead and put this into the game. Alright, so if we now go ahead and hit start, we should now see the new there we go, we see the new garbage in there as well. And so now if we go ahead and win this, there we go, and one of these pops up. Okay, that one we can't wear, but the next one also we can't wear. Alright, so for example, this one we can wear. So we now have an equip button that we can click, and if we do so, you can see that we are now wearing that can. But if we want to go ahead and wear this instead, we can click the button again, and now we're wearing that bag. And yeah, it's just kind of that. You can also choose not to wear it, of course, by just, you know, not clicking the button and just continuing on. But yeah, now we can actually customize our raccoons, which actually allows us to fix another issue, which is that the raccoons all just look the same and are honestly a bit boring. Like, obviously I did make the two different versions and you can slightly see the difference, but again, like I said earlier, I mean, they pretty much all look the same, but what we can do now is actually add this to the other raccoons, like this for example. And so I'm going to write a very simple script that at the start of the game just randomizes clothing for every single raccoon so that we actually get, you know, a varied crowd. Alright, so we now have a script that whenever we start a new game, it randomly clothes all of the raccoons, and there we go. I mean, it was only 3 this time, but like it just randomly chooses for each raccoon whether or not it's going to actually give them clothing, so it doesn't automatically clothe all of them. But yeah, if we restart for example, you can see that we now have totally different clothing. And yeah, that's all functional, which means it's time to do the thing I dreaded, which is to actually make this game look good. Because I don't know about you, but this doesn't look great to me. So let's get to work on that. Right, so I remember saying I was going to make it look good, and yeah, I made it look like something, for sure. Would I say that this looks good? No, I wouldn't. But, like, genuinely, I struggled so much with this, so this is what you're gonna get. Like, I'm not gonna go any further than this. It's basically just, like, a driveway, I guess. Like, this is supposed to be a house, and this is just, like, concrete or something. Like, I tried a bunch of different stuff, none of it worked. This is, like, the closest I'm getting to, like, a decent background. So, you know, you're gonna have to deal with it, so let's go ahead and put it into the game. Okay, wait, it actually doesn't look as bad when it's actually in the game. Like, I'm actually starting to kind of like it, almost. Like, especially with the trash can in the middle, that doesn't look bad at all. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's it. That's, like, the final puzzle piece to make this game complete. Like, the one thing I was putting off was the environment, but now that's actually done, and it looks pretty decent. Which means we've officially made our raccoon bidding game. And honestly, it's not a bad game. Like, it's very limited for sure, but like, if you expanded on this, like, I could see this being at the very least not terrible, which is kind of ironic because I spent the whole video dunking on your ideas, and then the last one is actually pretty decent. But hey, I'm not going to complain. Like, I'm happy about it. Now, if you would like to see me do this again, please let me know, because I have no idea if you actually enjoy it. And if you want me to make your game ideas, please let me know. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.